Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday afternoon. Hello, Lisa, Neelan, and Kelly. Thank you for joining me this morning. I did actually kind of make it on time. Oh, I even have a minute to spare. I really thought I was going to be running late because all of a sudden there was no sound. So I can see like the little lines moving that there's sound, and there was nothing happening. And I'm like, oh no, what's going on? I don't want to start and have to stop. So I wanted to really figure it out beforehand. So hopefully you can hear me okay. It looks like my sound is going through. Hello, Cheryl. Thank you so much for joining me. Good afternoon, Shanna. I thank you for joining me a day late. Family always comes first, and I was so excited that my brother and sister-in-law were going to be in town, and we had such a wonderful lunch yesterday. I got there about 12:30. Thanks, Lisa. I got there about 12:30 because I had a stamp card buffet in the morning. And they had already had some nachos and things like that. So they had already talked. But my other brother and sister-in-law came too. So it was just really nice to catch up and hear about what all my nieces and nephews are doing because they're all over the place. So, thanks, Lisa. I looked in the mirror this morning and I'm like, oh my gosh, my tan has faded so much since last Friday. But then when I look at other people who haven't gone anywhere, I guess I do still kind of look tanned. So thank you. Yeah, I had such a good time. And this weather, I just hated coming home to it. I just want to know when spring's going to come. I think it's the first day of spring today or tomorrow, and it's like 30 degrees today. So I don't know. At least it's not as windy as it was yesterday. So good afternoon, and thank you all for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and get prizes, and then I will flip and we will make some cards. My cards today, I have my SIP card, stamp, ink, and paper, card for you, which is going to be an Easter card that has more of a religious feel to it because after all, that's what Easter is all about. Then we are going to switch gears and we are going to look at some of the online exclusives. So Stampin' Up! Started something new where they're offering some things that are never going to be in a catalog. So they are going to offer them for a limited time period. Some of them it'll be until they run out of them. Others they will reorder and they'll have it, and we don't know how long some of it will last. So I wanted to share with you some of those in case there's something that you see that you're like, oh, that is so cool. I want to have that. I want you to be able to get it before they might run out of it. So good morning, Karen. And I won't stand next to you, Karen. But I don't feel like I'm that tan compared to what I was when I got home last Friday. So, and thank you, Nancy, for welcoming me home. So I have some prizes to give away. So last week we made this little bunny Easter card, and it was a double Z fold. My lights are kind of doing some tricks on me there. I think some of it's the sun. The sun is really shining today. Good morning, Betty. And then we made a little basket to match it. Isn't that little guy cute? And I did fill it with some goodies for whoever's getting this. I've got some Reese's peanut butter eggs and just some regular chocolate eggs. So those are in there. And then we did this technique where we did the lattice. And when you open it, it's like there's a second card that you have to open on the inside. And then this little paper down here kind of shows through with your little lattice. So that stands out. So receiving these cards for commenting. So anytime you comment, either in YouTube or in Facebook, you get entered into a drawing. And receiving these this week is Linda Kester. So Linda, I will get these off in the mail to you. And for those of you that won last week, I did not get it out in the mail. It is sitting ready to go with this stuff. And I actually have these envelopes. Actually, this one's going to be a little box that I have ready to put it in. And I have an envelope ready for the other one for sharing. So anytime you hit share and you share my video either to your Facebook page or share with another person, you get entered into a drawing. Good morning, Jay and Patty. And I think I said hello to Betty, but if I didn't, hello again. receiving these, we're going to use these today, the solid faceted gems. And also, this is some Sweet Sorbet metallic ribbon for sharing last week is Robin Schulke. Please make sure if you do share, some of you, however you have your settings set in Facebook, it doesn't register for me. So I had this last week that 13 people shared. I could only see who 2 of those people were. So I go through the comments and I just write down anybody who wrote shared. So if you share this, either on your Facebook page or share it to a friend, make sure that you write that you shared it or in the comments so that I know to add you. Thanks, Karen. Make sure that I add you to my list of people for the drawings. So I'm going to set those over on my counter. I don't want to lose them. Couple of things I wanted to remind you. We are coming close to when Stampin' Up! Is going to be releasing to the demonstrators the new catalog. So it's coming up pretty soon that we get to see it and we get to pre-order. With that, they will give us the retirement list. So certain things are going to be retiring. There is going to be some sort of a color refresh. We know for sure that the 5 in color, so Soft Succulent, one of my favorites, Evening Evergreen, another favorite, Polished Pink, which is my favorite pink right now, and Fresh Freesia, use that one a lot too, and Pale Papaya. Okay, those we know for sure are retiring. And so if you have the stamp pad and you don't have an ink refill, I would not wait until they announce the retirement list, because the day that they announce that, those things go really fast. And once they're sold out, they're sold out. So if it's a color you know that you want to keep and you want to be able to fill the ink pad in case you would happen to leave it open sometime and it dries up and you need to re-ink it, I would make sure you get those ordered as soon as possible so that you don't miss out on that. If you also want to get some of the paper before it's sold out, you may also want to do that. I just want to remind you of that, not because I want to increase my sales or anything, but because I don't want you to be left out and be disappointed if you don't have it and it's a color that you really like. So, all right, I think I'm going to flip screens and we are going to go ahead and get started with stamping right away. Our first card, our SIP card, is going to be, and let me get all my stuff up here. I need my Stamparatus for this one. And we're going to be using this Rejoice in Him stamp set. And I've got a little bit of a glare coming. I don't know if it's from my lights or the outside lights. But I have that. Believe it or not, we're going to use this little wood stamp right here in Whiskey Business. Who would think that we're using a stamp set that promotes drinking in a religious Easter card? But I made it work. So I have my stamps here that we're going to be using. I have some ink pads and some gems. I got it all out of my little bucket here. Now I got a mess. And we're also going to be using some Wink of Stella. All right, so where are my cards? Here they are from my cardstock. All right, I have a layer of thick basic white. So anytime I'm doing a card base that's white or vanilla, I always do the base with the thick. I don't use the thick really for anything else unless it's like a 3D project and I need it to be. Our regular basic white is thinner than our other cardstock. So if I need to have a base, I use the thick white. So this is 4 1/4 by 11 and I just scored it at 5 1/2. All right, I have a crumb cake layer that measures 3 3/4 by 5. And then a white layer that we're going to be doing our stamping on. This is just basic white, not the thick. That's 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. So it's just 1/8 of an inch smaller so that this crumb cake is just barely going to peek through there. All right, I have 2 strips to make my cross. These measure 5/8 of an inch. This one is 2 7/8. and this one is 4 inches. So that is going to make our cross on our card. All right, and then I have a scrap of Pear Pizzazz, and I have a scrap of Basic White, and I will be doing something on this envelope. I don't know what yet, but we'll do something on the envelope to decorate it up. All right, I am using this Rays of Light, and it's, again, giving me a little bit of a shadow, as my background stamp. So I am going to take this white, this smaller white layer, and I've set this up in here. And I always set up, I take some washi tape and I make myself my line so that it's real easy for me to just slip whatever cardstock I'm using in there, and I know exactly where it has to go. Now for a background stamp, I need this whole thing to be covered. So I don't really want to put this magnet on here like that to hold my paper in place, because if I put that there, now it's not going to be able to stamp in that corner. So I have my magnet on here, but it's more to hold this bottom piece that I have in place, and so it's not really to hold this paper in place, if that makes sense. And I think I'm going to actually, if I remember correctly, I want to slide this. Which way do I want to slide it over? Yeah, I want to slide it actually over this way a little bit. So I'm going to move it over, make sure that it's still going to get the whole thing. It is. I want this circular part a little bit more in the center than what it did in my sample. So you kind of get, after you've done one, you get a chance to see if that's exactly where you want it. Because this circle, I'm actually going to cover with my cross, and so those rays of light are going to be coming around the cross. Oh, thanks, Becky. I'm sure you're tan too. I think you were in Florida, Becky. All right, so I'm just inking this up, and I do have like a stamp case underneath it so that it's easy for me to get a good coverage on that. I'm going to go ahead and close this. I just got this on Etsy. If any of you have an air hockey board, it's basically just one of those little air hockey puck things. It does have a little bit of felt. I know Mary, I don't know if Mary's on YouTube today. She usually watches on YouTube. But I think her husband made her one of these to use. Okay, so notice how I didn't get a really good coverage there. So I'm going to make sure I ink this up again. And make sure I get a good ink coverage. I'm going to lay this down again on top of it. That's the beauty of the Stamparatus, is that I'm able to position it exactly where it was before. Hopefully my paper didn't move at all. I didn't really look. If it did, I have another side. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, so that is going to be my background. Now it looks like I didn't quite go all the way over there, so I'm just going to trim that with my trimmer real quick. And I'm going to set this aside and get it out of the way. I'm also done with the yellow. So I'm going to close that. This is Daffodil Delight, actually, if you're wondering which yellow it is. And I'm just going to quickly bring my trimmer in. Because I moved that over a little bit, I didn't quite get to the edge. So I'm just going to trim that little bit that I didn't cover in yellow off. And then I think I'll trim a little bit off the bottom as well so that I still have an even border around that crumb cake paper. All right, then I'm going to take these wooden cross, for my wooden cross I should say. I'm going to set those on here, and this is crumb cake, and I'm going to use crumb cake ink on it as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. Now, I wanted this to be a stamp, ink, and paper, so I did not want to have to use a die cutting machine at all. You very well could have used like the timber embossing folder and gotten this to look like it was wood grain, but this stamp will serve that same purpose. Now, I'm going to be putting this dove in the center, so this doesn't fit all the way across. So what I did was I stamped it to the left, and then I moved and I stamped it to the right. So any overlap was happening in the middle where I'm going to be placing that dove. So I'm going to go ahead and stand up so I can get myself over the top. Okay, so see that overlapped a little bit there, but that'll get covered up. And then it's also going to, I'll get this covered up from where I put this crossbar. So I want, I'm going to start on one end. And then I'll stamp the other one. Okay. And then that'll go about right there. And it'll look just fine. Okay, so we've got our cross. Next thing I need to do is I need to stamp that dove. And for that, I'm going to use some smoky slate so that it's something that is very soft and not something that's really harsh and dark. Okay, we're going to fussy cut that. And then I'm going to take that Pear Pizzazz and I'm going to use some Memento ink. And I'm going to stamp the palm branches and we're going to fussy cut that out as well. So I have the stamping for my parts done. I just have to do my greetings now. I'm going to close these up and open that Memento back up. Hello from Oregon. Oh, can't read that from here. Is it Jeanne? Thank you for joining me. Oh, thanks, Aunt Mary. I'm glad you think it's a Sunday treat. All right. I am going to use my Memento ink, and I'm going to use the stamp that says, He is risen. And I'm just going to put it down here in the corner of that so that the light is still kind of shining on that. And then on the inside of this card, I'm going to use, this is a really dirty block. I got to clean this. Wishing you love and joy this Easter. Not quite sure how it got that dirty. It looks like it almost has some adhesive or something on it. And then I'm going to take my dove. I think I'm going to put that on the inside as well. So we'll kind of, let's see, where do we want it? How about right here? All right, so we've got our inside complete. And now we just have to put this all together. I'm going to get rid of these ink pads and stamps. Set those back here. All right, now to put it all together. Look at that stamp. Sorry, I just don't like a lot of clutter. I'm going to bring in my snips, paper snips, and my one for paper. And I'm just going to quickly cut around this. And I mention this anytime that I fussy cut, but the easiest way to fussy cut is to leave a little bit of an edge around your image. Don't cut right up until the line, because otherwise sometimes we cut part of the image out and we don't see the outline anymore. So if you leave just a little bit of an edge, and if you are right-handed like I am, I have my scissors in my right hand, and that is basically just opening and closing as I need it. And my left hand is guiding the paper and moving the paper around to do the cutting. We were debating yesterday on when I had my card buffet. Actually Friday night and Saturday I had it, and one of the cards we used the Taco Fiesta. I'm going to cut out this dove as well, and like all of the parts had to be fussy cut. And so Jan, who's on my team and was here, she had asked ahead of time when she saw that card. She wanted to know, is all of that fussy cut or are there dies? And I said, it is all fussy cut. She said, okay. And she was going to do multiples of that card and make 2 or 3 of them. But she decided just to do 1, I think, if she even signed up for that one. Some people love to fussy cut, and they say, well, I just sit in front of the TV and I do it, and it's like no-brainer work. I can just get it all done. And others are like, I'll do anything except for fussy cut. So which camp do you fall into? Are you I don't mind fussy cutting, I kind of like it? Or are you more of not a fan of fussy cutting at all? I think you fall into one or the other. Okay, so that's going to go there. And then our crossbar is going to go here. Okay, so the reason I wanted to move that over a little bit is I do want there to be just a little bit of space here. I didn't want that to go all the way over to the end. So that's what our cross is going to look like. That dove is going to come right in the middle of that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in some liquid glue. I haven't used this yet today, so it might just have a little, might have to get a pin out. I think I do have some dried up glue in there. I didn't have my cover on, so I apologize if I just, all that I do is I have some pins, and I just stick that in there and pull out any of the dried glue. See how there's that dried glue there? Now it should work again. So if you can't get your glue to work, look at that, there it is. I know some people take like a sewing needle and they even tape it to there so that they know where to find it. I just keep it right in my drawer right next to here. Okay, so I'm going to put one of these down and then the other one. Right, this is just going to come kind of at the base of the cross as kind of a reminder of Palm Sunday, where Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem the week before that they ended up crucifying him. So I'm going to put some dimensionals on that. I think I'm going to cut this a little bit. That's a little too much. Right, and then I also have my dove that's going to get a dimensional. And we'll place that here. And the palm branch, we're just going to place down there. And then this is going to just save all these so I remember the dimensions when I type this up later. This is just going to be glued onto this crumb cake, which I have a little bit more of it showing than I had planned, but that's because I had moved this over a little bit and needed to cover that. And then I'm going to adhere that to the front of our card. Super easy. I did bring out our rustic metallic adhesive back dots. And I'm going to take 2 of these bigger ones. Get my Take Your Pick tool. I use this thing for so much. And I'm just going to place one of them on either end of my cross. Whoops, lost my... Just a second, let me get my video up again. Sorry about that. I think I'm up. There we go. Still not quite sure why that happened, so I apologize. Did I just freeze it? I think it's frozen. Let me disconnect and reconnect again. Because I think I'm frozen. I am. Let's see here. Mobile device. Okay, let's see why it's not working. Technology is so great when it works. I think I'm completely frozen on here. Hang tight, please. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to get out of here. Okay, let's see if I can try to reconnect again. I apologize. I appreciate your patience. All right, now I just have to come back here and flip it around. There we go. And I think I have to mute it. There we go. Oh my goodness. Good thing I don't get too nervous with technology. I just have to take a deep breath. Okay, I'm not frozen. Thank you guys for your patience. I so appreciate it. All right, we are not completely done with this card yet, believe it or not. I have some Wink of Stella. And what I want to do with this Wink of Stella, now I could have done this before I put it all together, but I'm just going to add that to this dove that's on here. And I'm also going to add it in between the yellow. Wherever there's white in here, I'm going to add Wink of Stella. And you probably cannot see this. I'll hold it up when I have it all done and see if it's even anything that you can see. But oh my gosh, in person, this thing just shines like, you know, the bright light from the resurrection. This Wink of Stella is doing that to this card, believe it or not. So I wish that this was something that you could see a little bit better on the camera, but I will try to raise it a little bit and see. I do have to be a little bit careful in by that ink. Probably should have done that before I put the He Is Risen on there, but I found that it worked just fine when I added it at the end yesterday when I made this. So yeah, I ended up waiting until yesterday to make these cards. So I don't know how much you can see of that, but to me, I can see all of it and it just shines. Okay, so that's our first card. He is risen, wishing you joy and love this Easter. So I like to send religious Easter cards. The Easter Bunny cards are cute and all of that. And they're nice for like little things that you're doing for the kids and stuff. But when I have aunts that are nuns and I have an uncle that's a priest. If I'm going to send them an Easter card, this is more of what I'm going to be sending them because that's what the true meaning of Easter is all about. So I wanted to get a religious Easter card since the other one that we did was more of a secular one with the Easter Bunny. So that is card number 1. And all I used was stamp, ink, and paper. Oh, we didn't do anything with the envelope. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this dove in the corner. I don't know how it would work to put that radiating light, like that sunbeam. I don't know what it would look like to put that on the back flap. So I'm just going to put a little dove in the corner here. And that is going to be my decoration for this card. Very simple card, but really reflects the meaning of Easter. All right, I'm going to move this bucket out of the way and bring in bucket 2. But before I do that, I wanted to share with you the paper that I'm going to be using. I'm still getting rid of some of my stuff here. The paper we're going to be using in this next one is called, I have to look at it, Naturally Gilded. So we have that gilding, leafing stuff that we can use. I'm going to try to close this and see if that helps a little bit. No, not really. I still am getting a glare, so I'm going to open it up. I like to see the sun. Sorry about that. All right, so this has a very vanilla with gold. It has white and silver and some white and copper. Okay, so these just shine. We are going to be using this today in this next card that we're making. And the product that is The online exclusive for this is called the Elegant Borders. So these are borders that you can use on your cards, and they are really elegant. We're going to use this one right here, the second one from the bottom. This one leaves a border. This one leaves border. This one cuts on both the top and the bottom. Okay, so this one cuts down here, but up here it doesn't cut. It just cuts all those little designs out. You'll see when we do it in just a second. I didn't cut it ahead of time because I wanted you to be able to see how it works with the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So here are our layers, right? So we have a card base of basic black. Now I'm using the gold and the Very Vanilla. And if I were using the white and the silver, I might have used like Night of Navy with this. But I really like how black and Very Vanilla and gold look together. So this could be a wedding card. We're going to use it as a birthday card. So this is 5.5 by 8.5, and I scored it at 4 1/4. This is for my envelope. This is 5 1/4 by 2 7/8, and we may have to trim this a little bit more. I tried to put the border right at the end, and that's the size that I got. But if I end up moving my border up a little bit, I may have to trim a little bit off of that, but it should be about the right size. This is 2 by 3 1/4, and this is where we're going to stamp our greeting and die cut it. And this is for the inside. This is 5 1/4 by 4. And then I wanted that little design. I wanted some gold to come through that design. And so this measures 1 1/4 by 5 1/4, and that's going to be on the inside of our card, but you're going to see this gold on the front side after we cut our border. Okay. For this, I wanted to emboss with gold embossing, and so needed some Versamark, and I'm just going to bring this up here. Got my bucket on the floor. It just doesn't take up as much space on my desk, so I threw it down on the floor. I'm going to bring in, again, something to protect my surface a little bit. This is our embossing buddy, and I'm just going to lightly rub that over here. And what that does is if you have any oils and stuff on your fingers so that embossing powder doesn't stick to, and you get like fingerprints and things like that, it just kind of clears all of that off so that the only thing that the embossing powder will stick to is this Versamark ink. So this says, I didn't forget your birthday. I'm just stretching out the celebration. And I'm just going to go down really nice and firm. These are just some containers that I got at Target years and years ago. And I have a couple of containers of gold embossing powder that I put in here. I just leave these right by my heat tool. And then this is a little wooden spoon that I ended up getting for a Christmas. I think I was doing some hot chocolate packets or something, and I found those on Amazon and got those. Okay, heat set this, and then we have something fancy dies, and this die right here, we'll cut that out, and through the magic of TV, I have that done already. So I didn't forget your birthday. I'm just stretching out the celebration. I'm going to set this over here because I will heat set that later and use it for another card. I just didn't want you to have to listen to my heat gun or my heating tool going off. I am also going to stamp Happy Birthday in some black Memento ink. And I'm going to kind of gauge, this is going to be going right here. So I kind of want to see where I want that happy birthday. And probably right about there. That looks pretty good. All right. I'm going to go ahead and I like to use my Stampin' Seal when I'm using this gold metallic paper. It's a little bit thicker. And I don't know why I always tend to grab that when I'm doing those papers. Okay, so that's just going to go along the bottom, and that's going to be on the inside of our card. All right, I'm going to bring in, let me put some of this away to make room for it. We're going to bring in our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So here it is, the big guy. The little one wouldn't work for this, so I'm bringing in the big one. Got to bring in the big guns. Here is the die that we're going to be using, and I'll put it on this paper so that you can see. Okay, so this is the die that we're going to use. This bottom part right here cuts, this top part does not. So you want to put this on here like this in order to cut that. Okay, this is my center, so I'm eyeing it up where about the center is, and these the lowest part of my die, I'm running along the bottom base of my card so that I can line that up. All right, I got to bring in my layers here. So we have our regular platform. We have platform 2, which is for when we're die cutting, has to go in. And then we have 2 of our number 3s. And mine are very well loved, just so you know. Yours probably are too. If you do as much stamping as I do, mine are very well loved. And they've been replaced several times, and I love it when I get new plates. All right, I'm gonna start by running this through like this, and I do wanna make sure that I don't cut off my paper at all, and that I don't have my die too far over that it's gonna get damaged, okay, because it is the length, or it is the width, I should say. And I'm just going to bring this through a couple of times. And I did find that for mine, it didn't really want to cut all the way through in the middle. So what I did, and I can kind of see that it's not completely cut, I flipped it over. You can see some parts already started to come out, but I flipped it over the opposite way with the die being on the blade being on the top, facing up, and I ran it through that way a couple of times. And when I did that, my stuff pretty much just fell right out. Now, there are some dies that you have to kind of put them through sideways in order to get them. If that's the case, just flip your cardstock this way and you can put it through. I'm just going to show you. I don't really need to do this because mine's cut. But if you end up having a die that's difficult to cut, these longer ones, these bigger ones, sometimes are better if you put them through on a little bit of an angle. See how I have it angled on the side like this instead of going straight on? And sometimes that helps. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that. Look at that. It just all came right out. I don't even have to. I have my tool here. So we do have, as part of your Take Your Pick tool, we do have this little brush that you can add to brush all of those out. But I don't even need to do that because everything just came out. It's in the die, so I'll use my brush tool over the garbage and I'll go like this just to get all of those pieces out, because it cuts better if all the pieces are out. All right, I have my inside piece. That's going to go right inside of here so that that gold, look at how that gold shines through that opening. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and attach that. To the inside. All right, now before I put this piece down up on the top, so that's just going to go right up there, what I'm going to do is another item that is an online exclusive is a double pack of gold and silver trim. It's a trim combo pack. So look at this gold ribbon, and then it also has silver. It goes perfect with this paper. So I'm just going to wrap some of this around here. Now normally I cut and I tape in the back, but I wanted a bow. So because I want a bow, I'm actually going to wrap it all the way around. And we're going to cut this. I think I probably have more than I need here, but I don't want to fight with making a bow on TV, live TV. Oh yeah, I have way more than I need. But I'll save whatever I cut off and I'll probably add it to some other project where I end up cutting just a tail. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and now if you need to, I don't know if you've ever seen these, but I have, oh, and I don't have one here. I do have a reverse tweezers. I usually have one sitting right at my desk, but I don't right now. I must have used it for something else. So we're going to go without using it and make a loop, swing it around, and pull it through. Oh, not too bad for live TV. All right, and then I just pull on each of the ends until I get it to the size loops that I want, and then just trim off what I have left. Now, this is a little bit loose, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come along to the back. Excuse me. I'm just going to cut this now so that it lays flat. And, oh my gosh, I think my tape is all out from my card buffet. Give me a sec. Oh, you know what? Let's just do this. Since I'm here and I have this, I'll just go like this. We'll go without tape right now, and we'll just use, I want to make sure this is straight. There we go. I just wanted that to pull a little bit tighter because it was a little bit loose, right? And that's just going to go on there, that bow. And since I have this out, we'll just go ahead and keep using it. You could also use liquid glue if you wanted to. I had this out, so I'm just going to use it and place this on the top. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I just love that. And then we have our greeting that we're just going to pop up here on some dimensionals. I'm going to pop it over a little bit so that that is there. And dimensionals, where did you go? I might have packed them away with something. I've got more of them over here. So I'm just going to pop some of these in the corner here. Haven't been watching comments. Yeah, thank you, Barbara. I think this would be a beautiful wedding card too, with a wedding greeting. Or a golden anniversary, or if you had a silver anniversary and you wanted to use the silver paper with the white. It's just so elegant. I really loved it. So I'm just going to pop this here. I didn't forget your birthday. I'm just stretching out the celebration. And then we have some gold sequins. And these are called gold faceted adhesive back sequins. And I'm just going to use these little ones that are here. And I'm going to put one right in the center there. Okay, that looks pretty there. Can you see that little gem there? And then I'm just going to take some of these bigger ones. There's a big spot right here that I can put one. There's a littler spot up there that I could put one. And there's a little spot without gold up there. So I just am kind of placing them where I have some openings just to add a little bit more to the card. So I didn't forget your birthday. I'm just stretching out the celebration. Happy birthday. And there's still room for me to write a little message and to sign it on the inside. I do have a very vanilla envelope rather than a basic white because The paper was very vanilla, so I brought that through the whole thing. I'm keeping my Post-it notes so that I have all my dimensions. It makes everything go faster when I go to actually type this up. I don't know. I think this is my thing here. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep things a little bit straight here. There we go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add this to the back of our envelope to bring that pretty paper around into the envelope as well. All right, and this does have a direction, so you just want to make sure that when the envelope is closed that it's facing the correct direction. And then we'll just trim around it. You can kind of see the difference. The back is white and the envelope itself is vanilla. So you can see that there is a difference between the two. So you do want to definitely take the vanilla for this one. And there is our second card. Pretty quick card. Just really featuring this trim along with our elegant borders. Just fancy up any card that you want to make. All right, so that is our card number 2. Let me go ahead and get rid of all of the things for that. And I'm going to bring out card number 3, which is a fun fold. I saved the fun fold for last. It also is going to be, oh, thank you guys for all the hearts. I love it. Just looking to see if there's any comments. I cut the package envelopes with small bubbles up as additional layers when die cutting difficult dies. Oh, that's a good idea. All right. So our next card is going to feature our Radiating Stitches dies. These, again, are part of that online exclusive that you can get. So to find these products, because they're not in an envelope or not in a catalog, they're not going to be in a catalog, and there's not really a flyer for them. If you go to my store, if you go to Stampin' Up! And you go to my Stampin' Up! Website and go to the store and you look for, I think it's under new product, all of the stuff will be right there for you. So that is where you can find it. We are going to be pairing that with this little fun online exclusive called Rhino Ready. Look at these cute little rhinoceroses. And there are dies that have these trees and the grass and some leaves and a party hat, cuts out the bird, also cuts out this little noisemaker for your birthday. So we're going to be using these 2, actually 3, the dies, the stamp set, and the Radiating Stitches for our next card, which again is going to be a fun fold. It's going to be a pop-up card, which I love pop-up cards. I think they're so much fun to make. So what I have for you, I think I have everything labeled. Yes. Okay. And I might have to look at my sample on this one. I made this one last night. So this is a 4 1/4 by 11. And I scored at 2 3/4 inches from both ends. And by doing that, I've now made a gatefold card that is landscape rather than portrait. And when I say that we're going to do a pop-up, and I'm going to go ahead and score these a little bit better, what's going to happen with this card is when you open up each side, there's going to be a portion of it that pops up on the inside. Okay, so that's what I mean by a little pop-up card. Hi, Aunt Dorothy. You're getting to the fun card. We're just getting to the fun card here. All right, I have a piece. This is Starry Sky, by the way. Just love that color shade of blue. It's deeper than the Pacific Point, but it's not as deep a blue as navy blue. It's kind of a cool color. This is 4 1/8 by 2 3/4, and that leaves about 1/8 of an inch from around this. So this is that die, the Radiating Stitches. Can you see those stitches around the outside? This is the medium-sized one, so there's the largest, and then the medium, and then the smallest. This is actually the medium size one. And this will fit right on there. Okay, so that's going to be on there. I'm using some of the Nature's Print paper, which is gray granite. And these each measure 2.5 by 4. And those are going to be on the sides of our paper. All right, this is the largest of those radiating stitches. See those stitches on the outside? So this is going to be our inside layer. This is gray granite, and that is going to go on the inside. Now the little pieces that I need 2, and I only see one here. Oh no, don't tell me. Oh, here it is. I dropped it on the floor. See if I can get it up. It's stuck now. Here's the measurement. And take the Post-it note off. So this one measures 3/4 inch by 5, and I scored it at 1, 2, and 4. Okay. This one measures 3/4 inch by 4 1/4, and I scored it at 1, 2, and 3 1/4. Let me just tell you a little bit about these pieces. So these little pieces that make our little pop-out thing, what you need to do is you need to figure out how wide of a space do you need for the thing that's going to pop out. So for this one, I was going to be putting one of those rhinos on there to pop out. So what I needed to do is I needed to make sure it was wide enough for the rhino. Okay, so when I figured this out, I figured that if I had, for this one, I needed 2 inches for that. So you take whatever width you need and you add 3 inches to it. So since I needed 2 inches and I add 3 inches, I needed a total of 5 inches. You're always going to score at 1 inch and 2 inch, and then you're going to score from 1 inch on the other side. So all of these are 1 inch widths. And then this is the one that I'm going to build my pop out on, and that's 2 inches. Okay, so for this one, I needed 1 1/4 inch because I was going to be putting a circle on there. So I needed 1 1/4 inch for the width of my circle. And so I added 3 inches, and that's where I got the 4 1/4. So I scored it at 1 and 2, and then 1 inch from the other side, which is 3 1/4 inches. Okay, so I figured these out on my own based on what I wanted to put in my pop-up. So you can figure those out on your pop-up. So the lady that I was looking at, her card was this way. Okay, it wasn't even a landscape, it was a portrait, and she just had something really small that she needed, so her dimensions were different. I'm like, I can figure this out. And so that's what I figured out when I was working on it last night. Okay, we have some stamping and some coloring to do, and what I did was I already stamped that rhinoceros. Isn't he cute? And I stamped this one. I wanted 2 of them, so I stamped 2 of them. We got to color those yet. I also stamped and cut out already for us, for the magic of TV, the little noisemaker. And look at this little, I don't know if you can see that. It's a little bird. We're going to use the little bird, the little noisemaker, the 2 rhinos, and then I cut out, this is the biggest radiating circle that's in those dies. That's going to be for a greeting. From our Something Fancy dies, I cut out this in gray granite. And then I have some grass in here and some leaves and a little party hat that we're going to play with. So I cut all of that out ahead of time for us. All right, let's do some coloring and then we'll do our stamping. So I colored the tusk, I think that's what it's called, of the rhino. I used some crumb cake for that. My crumb cake can sometimes look, this one's the crumb cake. Yes, this is light crumb cake. And I just colored that. I'm going to actually get this paper out of here. I don't want it to bleed through it all. I'm going to bring my scrap back. Right, so we're just going to color in the tusk. I just wanted it to be a really light color in this light crumb cake. You could also leave it white if you wanted to. I decided I just wanted to add a little bit of something to it. Then I'm going to take my dark gray granite, and when I did these, what I did was I went along, the stamp kind of tells me what I want to make darker. So let me put this on here so I can show you what I mean by that. So do you see those lines along the side here? What I did was I took the dark and I went over with my dark marker, and then I'm going to blend in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and where all these little lines are, and I'm going to do the tail here and that. There's some lines there, there's a line there. So I'm just following the lines that the artist gave us. And that's where I'm going to do the dark. Then I want to take the light, and I don't hardly ever use this brush point tip. In fact, when people come to my stamp classes and they go to open it up and they're like, your Stampin' Blend doesn't work. It's like dried out or something. And I'm like, are you using the pointed tip or using the brush tip? Oh, I'm using the brush tip. Well, I don't ever use the brush tip, so I don't know that it's not working, or it's not working properly, or that it's dried out. Because when I do my coloring, almost always I will use the bullet tip. I feel like I have more control over what I'm doing, and with the Stampin' Blends, I just think it looks better if I just color in tiny little circles and fill it all in. So if my brush side isn't working, it's because somebody was at one of my stamp classes and used it, and I didn't know that it wasn't working. Okay, so you can kind of see there's a little bit darker area where the artist had made this die. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with this other rhino. And for these online exclusives, I just wanted to, again, explain it in case you tuned in late. Stampin' Up! Has started something new where they're going to come up with different product throughout the year that will not be in any of their catalogs, but will be for a limited time that they offer it. Now, some of it will be seasonal. They might have something, let's say near Hanukkah, come out that's Hanukkah related, rather than having to have that in a catalog all year. They might just bring something out for different occasions. It'll probably go with whatever season we're in at the time that they offer it. But this way they can offer you more than just what's in the catalogs. And other stamp companies and other things are doing it. So it's something new that they're trying. Kind of like with our kits, except for instead of having to buy a kit, it will be some of the things like dies. Right now they brought some of the punches back. So you won't see the punches in the catalog, so it doesn't take up space within the catalog. But let's say you really want a 2 1/4 inch punch. Right now they're offering that, so you would go and be able to get a punch. Okay, so there's our second rhino. I have a little bit of pumpkin pie here that I'm going to do the beak of this bird. And then I have some light balmy blue. Sorry, I was wrong. And I'm just going to color the rest of my bird in with that color. I thought I had pool party because this is pool party, but I guess I opted for the others. I'm also going to use that on my little noisemaker here. One end is going to be the light balmy blue. And then at the tip I have the light starry sky that I'm going to put in there. Okay, then so that we're all ready to go and just put this together, I have a little bit of stamping that I do have to do on these greetings. All right, I'm going to use some Starry Sky ink. So when I stamped this stuff, I used Memento and I cut it out with the dies. I'm going to use It's a Great Day. I'm going to stand up so I can get this. Oh, I'm sorry. Just knocked my head on the camera. Oh, I did not do a very good job. We're going to flip this over. There we go. That's better. It's a great day, and hope your birthday is wild. Okay, so that brings our darker blue in. And I don't know what I have the Wink of Stella for. Oh, I know. The tassel of the hat. So I'll bring that back in. I'll just bring it, keep it here so that I remember that I want to use that. Okay, now we need to put our card together. So we're going to start with building the front, and then we will build the inside of it, which is our pop-up part. Okay, so these 2 pieces of designer paper, I know it looks like it's just gray granite, but it really is designer paper. It kind of has a little bit of, I don't know, it looks kind of marbleized. Those are going to go on either side of our gatefold. So I can't tell if there's writing on there or not, and if I have it the right way or not. I couldn't tell last night. I'm like, are there actual words in here? I can't really tell. I don't know if I'm putting this on upside down, right side up. I have no idea, but I couldn't see any words that you could make out. On some of the papers, you can see that there are words on them. This one, I could not tell at all. So if there are, I may have it upside down. I don't know. But I couldn't see any. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this grass that I cut. So there's one. There's a couple of different sizes. This I did in Granny Apple Green. I want to see if this little one will fit here. I think I want to overlap it more. I think I'm going to do 2 of the larger ones. That's what I did when I made my sample. All of a sudden when I was cutting, I'm like, oh, I've got a smaller one. I wonder if that would work better. But I do like the 2 larger ones. So I'm going to just run this grass right along the top of where those stitches are. Okay, so I'm going to go to the tallest stitches and I'm just going to run it straight, whoops, like that. And I'm going to put the other one, line it up to the far right above the stitches and just overlap that a little. Okay, so there is my grass that I want for my rhino, and we're going to use this one on the front, and it looks like I didn't do a very good job of die cutting this. I'm going to just trim a little bit of this white. It's driving me crazy, so I'm just going to, there we go, that looks a little bit better. He's going to go over here. We're going to put him on some dimensionals. It's a Great Day is going to pop in here as well. And then our little bird is just going to sit on top of It's a Great Day. So it's going to look a little bit like this when I put everything together. So I do need some dimensionals for this. We're going to pop all of this up. I don't know where I put my big pack of dimensionals, but here I've got one left here. I've got a lot of packs that have just a couple left on them, so I think I have here we go. I have a newer pack here. That's what happens when you go on vacation. You come back and it's like, where is everything? Oh, here's some partial ones. Go ahead and add some dimensionals on that. And we're going to add some dimensionals. I think I can get some big ones on this yet. And then we're going to cut some of these for our little bird. All right, I think that's small enough. Nope, I got to cut it a little smaller yet. It's a tiny bird. All right, now we're ready to build. Take these off. Oh, you know what? Before I put that on here, I want to glue on that little hat. I cut out one of the hats that's in the dies, and it's in Starry Sky. And I want to, it's easier to glue that on just by putting a little bit of glue along the bottom and then attaching it to where I want it on him. There we go. And then I'll take one of these little dimensionals that I had left, put that over the top of where they intersect to kind of hold that in place as well. Okay, so he's going to go there. Oh, he's so cute. Our greeting is going to get kind of tucked in there. And then our little bird is going to go right on top of the greeting. All right, this is now going to be added to that layer of Starry Sky. So it's just 1/8 of an inch bigger, so some of the little Starry Sky will be peeking through there a little. I am the layer queen after all. Okay, and now this is going to be just attached on the left-hand side. I'm going to use some dimensionals on that. And for those of you that have watched me in the past, you know that I always put the dimensionals on the far left if I'm attaching it to the left side. And then I go and put it on, when it's a gatefold, I put it on here so I know how far over to put it. Because otherwise I'm guessing here and half the time it's hanging over. And then I've got adhesive where I don't want it and it's not able to be opened. So I'm going to go ahead and center this. Whoops, did I take these off? Yeah, I did. And I took those off. Okay. Squirrel there for a second. Okay, so there is the front of our card. And now we have to work on the inside. We need to get this pop-up going here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my gray granite layer down and I'm going to build my pop-ups on top of this layer. So I wanted to bring in those radiating stitches to the inside so it kind of matched the blue that's on the outside, and it's also going to match this little pop-up greeting that's going to be on the inside. Okay, I'm going to start by putting, this guy's going to pop up here when we open it. So what I need to do is I need to take the longer of the two that I was using. Okay, so this is going to, this 1 inch that's by itself, here are my two 1 inches together. Those are going to be on the other side. I'm going to put some adhesive on this little 1 inch that's by itself. Okay, and I'm going to line this edge up with the score line. And I'm going to be up about maybe 1 inch or 1.25 inches from the bottom. And I'm just going to make sure that that gets adhered really well. So I'm just making sure that it's pressed. Then what I want to do, so this is going to go like this. So it's going to pop up when I open it. So what I need to do is I need to fold on here and I need to put glue on the last part. And then I want to close this so that it's in the correct spot. So I'm just closing the card. And now, whoops, make sure that the glue sticks. Let me do that again. So I'm folding it on this line where it's supposed to fold. I'm closing the card. You may want to use, If you let your glue dry, liquid glue works just fine for this. If you feel more comfortable using the tear and tape so that it sticks immediately, you could also do that as well. Okay, so here is that side. Oops, I got my little dimensional here. All right, then this pop-up is going to go on that side. So here are my two 1-inch ones. So that's going to go onto this part. So I need to glue that onto there first. So this is the side that has just the 1 inch, one inch. Okay, so I'm going to attach that. Make sure that it sticks good. Looks like I used a little bit too much adhesive and some's coming out. You don't want to do that. Once it dries, I can use my little adhesive remover to get rid of that. Right? I'm going to fold where I want it to be folding, and I'm going to put glue just on this 1-inch piece that's right at the end. And then I'm going to close my card and give that a good press. This way I know it's exactly where I want it to be, and I'm not trying to line up. So when my card is closed, it has to be able to close. And so that's why we close the card on it, to make sure that it's right where we need it to be, so that the card can close, but when we open it, that pop-up will be there. See how that works? Okay, so now what we're going to put on these pop-ups, I'm going to put this Hope Your Birthday is Wild on this pop-up. So I'm just going to put some liquid glue. And again, you could use some tear and tape here if you wanted to. I like having a little bit of time to get this to set. Okay, so Hope Your Birthday is Wild. On this one down here, I am going to take some of these leaves and I'm going to put those down and then put, oops, that's probably more glue than I needed. Then I'm going to put the rhino, the other rhino that we did, right on top of these leaves. So he's going to be sitting on top of the leaves. And if you wanted to, you could use glue dots for this. You wouldn't have to use liquid glue. You want to make sure everything stays on this little thing, that your little pop-up that you just made. Okay, so I've got two bigger ones, and then I have a tinier one that kind of overlaps it a little bit. And then this rhino is just gonna sit right on there so that it pops up when I open this card up. So we're just gonna put a little bit of glue along the bottom. You want to make sure that his tail doesn't go further than, otherwise it'll get crushed when you close it. So it can only go as far as the card. Okay, and then I'm going to take a little dimensional and pop up this noise maker that we did. I'm going to have that kind of coming from his tusk a little bit, like right there. Okay, so here's our card. So it's going to go in the envelope like this. And then when we open up, it pops up. And we say, Hope Your Birthday is Wild, and that little rhino pops up as well. Okay, so here's our card. Open it up, and the big surprise is on the inside. And again, to make these, if you go back and watch it, I explained you just have to have 1 inch and 1 inch and 1 inch, and then however wide you need it on the inside. So I needed this one 2 inches, I needed this one 1 1/4. So each of those pieces were a little bit different based on how big I needed to have the base of what I was going to pop up. hopefully that makes sense to you. I tried to put it in terms that would be easy to understand. I'm going to add just a little bit of Wink of Stella to the little tassel, and I think I'm going to add it to my bird as well. This is a brand new Wink of Stella. It's really, really glittery. All right, and there is our cute little birthday card. Now, for our envelope, if you decide you want to, I think I'm just going to do, let's see, what do we want to put on the outside? I don't think I'm going to do another rhino. Maybe I'm just going to do that little bird. How about if we do the little bird? I'm going to get some Memento ink. Oh, I have a dirty envelope here. I think I can get that off with a sand eraser. Right, I'm just going to put that little bird in the corner. Now, when you do that coloring, it's going to color all the way through. So you do want to stick some cardstock in there to color that in so that it doesn't bleed all the way through to the back. So if you do any sort of blends, you want to make sure that you, oops, wrong end, that you put some cardstock in there, because otherwise it will bleed all the way through and you will see this blue on the other side. I think I have a big enough piece of cardstock in there so that it didn't bleed through. Okay, so it does, you can see, if you open it up, you can see it. I'm just going to see if I can get this off. Otherwise, I will probably make another one. I could also use some of this, and actually, I think I did put a piece of that paper in. I will probably put some of that on there as well, because then I can cover up this and I don't have to worry about that. So I thought I did have a piece of that designer paper, but I don't see it here. So I will add it. So whoever gets this next week will have it. And then the last thing I did, I said I was going to use those faceted gems that, I don't remember who won them. Somebody won them today. But I'm just going to take these ones that are sort of like the pool party color, and I'm just going to add one there, and I'm going to add one there, just to add a little bit of bling to the front of the card. Okay, so we used, in our cards today, we used our Elegant Borders. Let me put these back in here. Goodness. All right, so our Elegant Borders, and with that we made this beautiful birthday card. Okay, we used the Radiating Stitches along with the Rhino Ready bundle to make our pop-up card. And then our SIP card, stamp, ink, and paper, not needing a die cutting machine or anything like that, we made this Easter card that shows the true meaning of Easter. Oh, so much fun. I had a lot of fun creating, and I didn't start until like last night about 6 o'clock. Let me see if I can come back to you here. There we go. Here I am. Thank you so much. I'm going to see if I have any comments. Love this fun card. Gives me ideas for my grand. Oh, good. I'm glad that it gave you some ideas. You can use it with so many different sets. You could pop up just about anything. And it's super easy to do that on either side. And you could do it the vertical way as well, where you end up scoring it like at 2 1/8 and 2 1/8 and close it and have your pop-up come in on the top and the bottom as well. And you don't have to have a pop-up on the top and the bottom. You could do it just on one or the other. All right. We got through it all. Next week, I will be back to Saturday mornings at 8:30. Thank you guys for tuning in today on this different day. And thanks for all of your encouragement saying that family comes first and to enjoy the time with my family. I really, really did enjoy my time with them. So I was glad that I didn't say, no, I can't make it because I have to do my stamp, my Facebook Live. So thank you for tuning in. I will try to work on this afternoon and get the measurements up. I apologize for how late it took, or how long it took me to get the dimensions from last week up. I just didn't do it until yesterday I finished up. So thanks for your patience on that. Yes, Becky, go Marquette. And I think the Badgers play tonight too. So I think they're both playing at some point today. So go to both of them. But I've got Marquette winning it in my pool. So they better not disappoint me. I'm like number 21, so I'm pretty far down on the list. I don't think I have a chance of winning our pool, but it was fun, and I did pick Marquette to go all the way. So thank you so... Oh, the Badgers won. They played already. Okay, I didn't know that. See, I thought they played later. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you again next week, and have a wonderful, wonderful week.